Pay attention to the following Arabic word, تستأنس, which means to announce your presence when you arrive at some place. Now let us go to Tafsir al-Tabari to prove to all of you that today's Quran is corrupted by one of the scribes. We read that Ibn Abbas, the cousin of Muhammad and Habr al-Ummah, used to read it as تستأذن and not as تستأنس. And the reason for that is that the mistake is from the scribes. So Ibn Abbas used to read it as وَتَسْتَأْذِنُ, to ask permission. And Ibn Abbas continued saying, وَقَالَ إِنَّمَا هِيَ خَطَأٌ مِنَ الْكَاتِبِ حَتَّى تَسْتَأْذِنُوا وَتُسَلِّمُوا. Translation, Ibn Abbas said it's a mistake from the scribe. He made a mistake and wrote تَسْتَأْنِسُ, meaning announcing your presence. The correct word, according to Ibn Abbas, should have been تستأذنوا, to ask permission from the homeowners, and not to announce your presence. And we also read that Ibn Abbas said that the scribe made a mistake, and Ibn Abbas used to read it as حتى تستأذنوا وتسلموا, and he used to read it because it was the reading of Ubay ibn Ka'b, which means that today's Hafs version of the Quran cannot and will never be the original Quran of Ubay ibn Ka'b, who was among the 4 top readers of the Quran. At-Tabari's tafsir also explains that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's Mus'haf was way different. Not only did Ibn Mas'ud's Mus'haf agree with Ibn Abbas, his version of the word, but also the order of the sentence was different. We read that Ibn Mas'ud's Quran said, حَتَّى تُسَلِّمُوا عَلَى أَهْلِهَا وَتَسْتَأْذِنُوا, versus today's Hafs Quran. Let's hear it.
حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها.
Wow, you heard the differences between the Ibn Mas'ud's qira'ah, which is totally different than the Hafs version that Muslims have today. The corruption of the Quran started in the hands of the very first scribes who did not pay attention when they wrote the Quran after Muhammad. That's a disaster on itself. The Sahaba like Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ubay ibn Ka'b used to read it different.
Okay, so Rob Christian, the fool again, he didn't read anything properly. Okay, he's basically quoting very weak narrations. He didn't read the full thing, as you can see here in Tafsir al-Qurtubi on the same verse about يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. So he's claiming that Ibn Abbas said no, this is not تستأنسوا, this is تستأذنوا. So Ibn Abbas is claiming that there's a mistake according to Rob Christian, when in reality he didn't read the thing properly, right? Because if we take a look, okay, if we take a look at the what is said here, so what we see here is الرابعة وروي عن ابن عباس, it is narrated by Ibn Abbas, وبعض الناس, and some people, يقول عن سعيد بن جبير حتى تستأنسوا خطأ أو وهم من الكاتب. This is when Ibn Abbas said, oh, this is تستأنسوا was wrong, it's تستأذنوا, and the scribe made a mistake here. This is unauthentic. It says هذا, this is what the part Rob Christian didn't show. It says هذا غير صحيح عن ابن عباس وغيره. This narration is not authentic for Ibn Abbas and anyone who says the same claim as Ibn Abbas. فإن مصاحف الإسلام كلها قد ثبت فيها حتى تستأنسوا. Right? All the masahif, all the mushafs in Islam, the Quranic manuscripts, say تستأنسوا. وصح الإجماع, and إجماع has been already, there is consensus among all Muslims that is تستأنسوا and not تستأذنوا. الإجماع فيها من لدن مدة عثمان, from the time of Uthman. فهي التي لا يجوز خلافها. It is unpermissible to go against it and say it is تستأذنوا. No, rather it is تستأنسوا. So Ibn Abbas was wrong. Okay. وإطلاق الخطأ والوهم على الكاتب في لفظ أجمع الصحابة عليه قول لا يصح عن ابن عباس. So, and saying that that Ibn Abbas said that the scribe has made a mistake in his pronounce, all the Sahaba are on consensus. أجمع الصحابة عليه قول لا يصح. All the Sahaba have a consensus that this wording that is attributed to Ibn Abbas is incorrect. Incorrect, right? And they go on and go forth explaining, in deep details, right? And this is the part that he didn't read because he's a fool, of course. He's trying to, they try their hardest to destroy Islam, they can't. محفوظ الإسلام يا فشلة. So either way, if we go to Tafsir Ibn Kathir right here, let's see if it's Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Let me just make sure it's Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Because, yeah, this is Tafsir Ibn Kathir on the same verse. Okay, on the same verse. If we go and check what it says here. Okay, so there's two narrations here from Sa'id bin Jubair and Ibn Abbas on this ayah. He says, إنما هي خطأ الكاتب حتى تستأذنوا وتسلموا. They claim that they attribute this saying to Ibn Abbas, that he said that this, the wording is, the scribe made a mistake, and this is false because we'll see on. And they said, وكان Ibn Abbas used to read حتى تستأذنوا وتسلموا وكان يقرأ على قراءة أبي بن كعب رضي الله عنه. This is what our Christian read. And left out this part. It says وهذا غريب جدا عن Ibn Abbas. This is very unknown from Ibn Abbas. So that means Ibn Abbas never said that. Never said that there's a mistake and the scribe made a mistake. So Rob Christian really needs to know what he's actually reading, because some of the tafsirs they're talking in details. These are not the, sometimes there's not an accuracy there. They're just sayings pointed out. He needs to look at the narrations to see if this is really attributed to Ibn Abbas and correct or not. Because, for example, you can see here ثم قال الترمذي on one of the things عنبس ضعيف الحديث. He says, oh, this is not accepted because عنبس is ضعيف الحديث ذاهب. And ومحمد بن زادان منكر الحديث. And Muhammad bin Zadan is hadith munkar. Is hadith is very, very, it's unacceptable. So he needs to look at the things there and see really what they're talking about. Not just go on and copy and paste from Christian apologists who think that they found something. And really, if the Muslims need to go back and double check before they believe these idiots, because if they don't double check, the answer is there and they might fall into a grave sin if they apostate from Islam. So you have to check carefully, Muslims, and you have to know what they are reading you, because they won't show all the parts. They will lie to you, they will con you and deceive you. And this guy is making money off Patreon and attacking Islam through subscribers and all things. He can't do anything, but the Christians are fools. They're uneducated. They may be educated in worldly things, but they're very uneducated about religion, Islamic religion. These are not scholars. These are nothing. None of the scholars of Islam have ever apostated from Islam, because they know Islam is the truth. They have studied these things.